Hey guys, it's Krishanti with Krishanti.com, and someone asked me to share a little bit more about my story with you, so here it goes. Basically, as you know, I talk all about intuitive development and spiritual and personal growth. But I wasn't one of these people that knew from a very young age that I was psychic or came from a long line of mystics, etc., etc. I came to this later in life. I knew something was missing from my life, but I didn't know what it was. And so I had all these jobs that were very looked really good on paper, but were really unfulfilling. And one day I had this amazing reading that my friend got for me from these clairvoyant students in Boulder, Colorado, at this place called Psychic Horizons. And I didn't know what to expect. I went in with no expectations. I remember that morning I thought, if there's one thing I do want to get out of this, so actually I did have expectations. I was like, if there's one thing I want to get out of this, it's why am I here and what am I doing with my life? And it was funny is when I sat down in that room with these two people. One of the guys was Indian, which is funny because I'm half Indian. They looked at me, and was one woman, I just knew right from looking at her that she knew what I wanted to know and that she was going to work to get me that info. And they did. They shifted my energy. Something happened in that space that changed my life forever. And I fell onto the path of learning all about psychic development. In fact, it's funny, the first book I read that really resonated with me was called The Psychic Pathway by Sonia Choquette, who I really love. And then doors started opening and I found out how much I really love this. And I worked really hard at it, just tried to get better and better and better, practice doing readings for people for free for 2 years. And then just kind of started, transitioned into doing it more professionally. And now I teach workshops and have a lot of guided meditations and courses to help people transform and grow. So back to the beginning, I am half East Indian. My father's from Northern India, and my mom is Irish, or was Irish American. And I was a miracle baby. My mom met my dad in India, and she got very, very sick, came back to America, and as the story goes, the doctor said, I have good news and bad news. What do you want to hear first? And the bad news was that she had cancer, Hodgkin's disease. And the good news was that she was pregnant, which I don't know if I would have considered that good news to hear all at once. But she wanted to fight for me. And as the disease progressed, I think she was pregnant right then and there. And then they're like, oh my God, this is actually really bad. As they found out it was not good. They wanted to force her to have an abortion. And they're like, there's no way you could carry this baby and have cancer and without any treatment. Luckily for us, there was a panel of doctors, and this one woman said, I think we should let her make the decision, let her do this. And because of her, they let her go into this really high risk situation. And I think she had little experimental doses of chemo, or not experimental, but little doses. And then I was born really healthy and fine, and she just stayed in the hospital and had her spleen removed. And I realize now there's things you don't understand when you're little that you don't get, and maybe I get things a little bit later sometimes than other people. But I realized in some of those baby pictures, she's wearing a wig because I think she must have undergone chemo aggressively when I was born. I never really thought about that, but when she has this cool kind of fro going on, and that was probably a wig, it was a while ago. But anyway, she and my dad got divorced, and I grew up with her, and the cancer came back when I was 10. And it was really awful. And like I lived with her. This is getting really complicated, but I lived with her, and a friend of hers is a really old lady who babysat me and took care of me. And they were really into metaphysics, really into like Gnostic stuff, Rosicrucians and meditating and all of it. So I grew up in that kind of environment. But when my mom got sick when I was 10, she just started to rapidly kind of go downhill, and she battled that for 5 long years, in which I saw horrendous things happen to her, like stuff I won't go into now, but really awful stuff. And then the whole like realization that she's declining and wasn't going to come back, it wasn't going to get better. So after she died, I'm debating whether or not to say all of this because it's so personal, but yeah, I'll just say I'm going to skip all the deep, intense stuff because a whole lot of SHIT went down after she died. But I ended up going to live with my dad and stepmom and half brother and sister, and with a nice, a beautiful home. And they helped me get into like great classes, and I did really well for the end of high school and ended up going to UCLA. But those were very dark years for me, because after emptying your mom's bag and like that kind of level of care, and seeing this person you love so much die, you can't help but be super depressed on top of being a teenager. So I was very depressed, very devastated, decided to turn my back on God. God did not exist. There was no light in the world. The light was gone. And I was goth, so I wore all black, and that helped a lot, listening to all that downer music and stuff. Really helped, but basically did all the young adult stuff. I got good jobs, graduated and everything, but was still battling that depression. I did have therapy, went to a lot of really bad therapists before I found a very good one, and her name, not coincidentally, was Joy. She helped me come back around, and she was just a very gifted healer, like just a listener, and I could feel myself getting better. So I think all of that struggle, I felt like there was something I was supposed to do with my life, but I didn't know what. And I had that reading that kind of really changed everything. And in this pursuit of the psychic awareness and developing my clairvoyant skills, and then devoting myself to helping people through their darkest hours, something like gradually just began to shift in me, and I became more open to the light again and the truth. And I came around to feeling like, this horrible thing happened, but it wasn't God's fault. And I didn't have to be angry at the universe or all that is, or feel like Jesus, who I prayed to a lot, and the angels who I prayed to a lot, turned their backs on me. That's a big crisis right there, to feel like there's nothing in the world, and to be like, what I'm saying? It's pretty awful. So through all of this, kind of things open back up again. And it's interesting. I had always hoped that my mom would come through, because I loved her so much. And it was really annoying to me that she didn't. I went to, a couple of psychics before I knew anything about this, and no, she didn't come through. So that was kind of hard. But what I've learned in all of this too is what happened to her soul, where her soul is, how our souls integrated and were involved, our whole soul relationship in the past, and that we will meet again in another lifetime. I feel that she's already reincarnated. I've been told that. And it's really emotional stuff to talk about. I'm proud of myself for not like tearing up or anything. But when you follow this path of like seeking answers, and you really like push to get them, you really try, and by trying I mean I meditate at least an hour a day, I found it helps me in other areas of life too. Of course, meditation is like the best medication, but you get answers, you know, and you start to figure things out. But on top of that, this intense dedication to connecting with the light and to understanding source, to understanding how everything works. And by how everything works, I mean everything beyond what we see before us, like the earth plane, the greater everything. You start to find more peace. And that's what has happened with me, like definitely more peace. And it's funny, Krishanti, the Shanti part means peace. So like, my mom always used to joke when I was little, like it was so funny, Krishanti, because I was anything but, like I was a motor mouth, like a very loud, like talkative kid, not peaceful at all. And now I'm all serene and meditating and whatnot, and people think I'm peaceful and stuff. It's very funny, which I can be anyway. I'm like rambling on here, but that's the whole thing, like in a nutshell. And my whole belief with all of this, doing these videos, which has been really hard. Another big thing that came about was despised seeing pictures of myself. Would never in a million years think I would do videos. Fucking never. I was raised, Nana, the older lady that raised me, was very verbally like abusive, and I was never told I was attractive. I was felt I was very ugly, and all of that. So in all of this intense spiritual work, all of this meditation stuff, all of the healing that I've done, I've been able to come around and be like, okay, I can get over myself enough to like say what I have to say on camera and feel okay about it. You know, I'm still not a lover of the whole selfie thing and all of that. But anyway, I've worked really hard to get past all that stuff. And what's wonderful now too is to be able to help other people to transform and to shift and grow too. We all can. We all have the tools to do it. We just have to do it, to want to do it, to want to work on it. What I always say is it's work, but it's not hard work. It's fun work because you really do see results. And bad things still happen. I mean, life's not perfect for everyone. There's still challenges. There's still areas to work on. But I see myself as like a work in progress, and I'll continue to grow and to learn and be challenged and to hopefully thrive too. For the rest of the time I'm here on the earth plane. We can all just, you know, do the best we can with what we have and with other tools that are within our reach. So that's that. I know this is a pretty long video. It feels like it was a lot longer. I'm looking at my thing and it's like 13 minutes. But anyway, for more info on all the workshops, MP3 downloads, meditations, and how you can work with me one-on-one, it's all over at krishanti.com. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye.